Hello and welcome to How We Fix Britain on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. And welcome everyone in the chat. The chat is very important in this particular show as we are going to be talking to you about what you want to see in this series. We're going to be going for the rest of the year, I hope, once a week. We're going to be picking on a different topic. So it might be immigration, it might be transportation, it might be infrastructure, it might be education. We're going to talk to some experts in the field, and we are going to have a discussion, a two-way discussion between us making this and you watching this and leaving comments in the chat. So without further ado, I'm going to say a big hello to everyone in the chat there. We've got Puninator, we've got Duke Vengeance, we've got David Juado, we've got Evil Ginger Miniatures, Christine Cash is in there from America, we've got AMH Carer, we've got Pete's Music, Lofty the Softy, Karen saying hello, Steve Duckworth saying hi, Stuart Chesmar saying evening all, and Unquiet Spirit saying good evening folks. Earth to Graham coming, Graham says Lofty the Softy. I'm currently attempting to upgrade my Minecraft bases. Okay, I'll come back to that later. Graham is never late, he always turns up when he needs him to, like Batman, but with a better hat. Indeed, Anthony Fisher. Well, what happened was, I was about to go live and I was ready, and I realised that my little graphic there wasn't very good. I could show you the one that I had, and at the last minute, I've got to change that. So I changed it for that. Anyway, told you 3 minutes, says Johnny Copperhead. Hello, everyone. First proper stream I'm joining. That's from Orion Does Things. Hello there, Orion Does Things. Right. So what we're going to talk about tonight, you've got me till 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, there is a live Twitter X event going on with Carol Vorderman and Supertansky and others who are working on the Stop the Tories.vote campaign. So I'm going to shunt you all over to Twitter at the end of this. But before we do that, let's make a list. I've got a nice empty pad here. I've got a pen. We are going to make a list of all the things that need fixing in Britain. We're not going to say how we're going to fix them this week. We're just going to make a list together. You and I, we're going to make a list of the things that need fixing. So in the chat, please go. If you're not already in the chat, please subscribe to the video, and within a few minutes you should be able to leave a message in the chat. So I want go, basically. What is the thing that you feel is the most important thing that we need to be looking at in how we fix the problems that the Tories have created? Because they're, Tory crazy people. Right, so number one, I'm going to go with press reform, which is something that we desperately need to talk about. And we might be able to get someone from the Hacked Off campaign to come and talk to us about that. Two, I'm going to put down electoral reform. I was going to call this How We Un-F Britain, but then I thought, it'll probably get suppressed by the algorithms. Okay, 4-day week. Social care. So number 3, social care. Thank you very much. That's from Gillian Hope there. So we've got press reform, number 1, electoral reform, number 2, social care, number 3. 4-day week says, that's workers' rights, isn't it? So let's just put that down as workers' rights. We've got NHS, obviously. Sewage and water, that's Gary Arnold. Sewage. Well, should we open that up a little bit to talk about just the public-private ownership? So we the private ownership of state monopolies, which needs to obviously come to an end. So when we do an episode on that, for instance, we will be talking about, like, how do we do that? How do we go about getting the trains nationalised again? How do we go about getting the water companies nationalised again? So it's not just, oh, yes, we want this. It's like we're going to have to discuss how it could actually be done. I've gotten loads and loads of messages coming in on the chat here. Let's have a look. Press reform, gender recognition. Gender recognition. Well, yes. Sorry if I'm not saying your names. This is coming up really fast here. I don't know if I got right fast enough. I think gender recognition, we should definitely do an episode where we talk about it's got to be LGBTQIA plus rights. That's got to come under. Definitely. Energy supply stroke infrastructure. So let's just say infrastructure for now, because what we can do is infrastructure, and then there's another one for transport infrastructure, which would have to be its own episode. I think there's so much to do. It's amazing how many things are coming up here. This is what we need to do, because it's not like Labour have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. Like, we need to be getting this all down. Andy, immigration. Yes, immigration. Absolutely. Trains, says Chris. Yeah, we've got a transport infrastructure. Trains, yeah. We'll also cover that a little bit under private ownership of public utils, public services, which is ridiculous. Imprisoned Tories. Yes, Michael. Thanks for that. I'm just going to put justice, and then I'm going to put in brackets Tories. Renting reform is from Sarah's just said renting reform. I'm going to try and go through everyone's message, so I will go back through them. So if I've missed your message, please don't write it again, because it'll just make it difficult to get through everything in the allocated time that we have. But yes, we're talking about renter reform. So that's we'll have to do a whole episode on housing. We need to get rid of leaseholds. Need to go. We need definitely better rights for renters. Processed foods. Oh, Jennifer says education. Yeah, we've got to do education. Wow, we're going to have so many episodes. Ian says processed food. So let's talk about food. Let's just do food security, and farming. A really cool person to talk to about that would be Liz Webster, who runs Save British Farming. So I'm going to try and think of guests that we can get on the show to talk about what challenges are faced, say, in the NHS. We'll get a doctor on to talk about that. When we talk about, the private ownership of state utilities, or services, we'll get someone who works on the trains along to talk. Okay, so we're up to 15 now. Big piss up, says Super Tiny. Yeah, food. I think food, and I'm gonna do farming as a separate one, actually. Food, because that's food security rather than food junk food. Yeah, we need to do something about the that comes into health as well. Obviously, NHS. But I think could we do one about the structure of the NHS and about how it works, and then another one about just general health, should I put well-being? Well-being. I think that's something that we need to look at. Mental health, massively important. We need to do a whole episode on that. Climate change. I'm putting that near the top because that is absolutely critical, and that's probably the first one we should do. Night Up for Steve Bray. Yeah, indeed. Political system, we've already got that with electoral reform, stroke political system. And ideas would be really, really helpful there, because we talk about, let's get electoral reform, let's get rid of first past the post. Now, I can't agree with that more. However, when you ask, okay, what actual structure do you want? What do you want to see? Because there's lots of different types of PR. In the same way, there's lots of different types of democracies. There's a presidential democracy, like in America, which I don't think works very well. We've got a parliamentary democracy, but there's a constitutional monarchy here. And then you've got a presidential parliamentary model in other countries, like in Germany. And then you've got like a referendum-led model, like in Switzerland, where most things are voted on by the people. Not to make it get done. It's just these things are put forward by anyone, and then they have a vote on it whether the government pick it up or not, and then the government have the ultimate decision. So they're not bound by that. We've got a £5 super chat, which I'm going to just leap to now, because that's very kind of Captain Coconut to throw that into the mix there. A bit of a curveball, but how about pulling the rug from under the lobbyists by removing political transparency legislation? That's a fantastic idea there. So let's lobbying, yeah, that lobbying. Let's because we could do one talking about political systems, right? About PR and democracy, but then we could do one about lobbying, cleaning up politics, about politicians with second jobs, and they go, oh, but what about that one? What about that one politician who's a doctor and has to keep so many hours a week? Well, fine, do it for free. It's fine. I don't mind. You just don't get paid for it. And Puninator, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's really kind. Thank you. I'm just going to move the super chat thing. Come on, super chat. Oh, hang on. That would help. I'll move it down there so it's not covering up my face. Puninator, thank you very much. Dr. Semed Meza is a doctor stroke YouTuber from the UK who would be cool to see you bring in for this series. Okay, I'm going to make a note of Dr. Semed Mez's name. Okay, brilliant. Okay, thanks, Puninator. Right, and we're just going to go back I'm going to go back to the beginning because we've got so many things in here, and I'm going to try and get through them all. Closer alignment with the EU, at least. Well, obviously the EU is a massive thing for me, so I'm just going to put rejoin eventually. Get StreamYard, says Sarah S. Thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Is that to pay for StreamYard? It's something that I might do, Sarah. I'll look into getting on StreamYard because then we can obviously make it more of a discussion rather than me just reading off your emails, which is the format at the moment. But yeah, if we could have a way that if you wanted to talk about your particular topic, you could come on for the first sort of 5-10 minutes of the show and talk about your particular policy area that you are particularly interested or qualified to talk about, and we can then move on the conversation from there. Use that as the basis to say, okay, here's the problems, and then we crowdsource using the people watching this in the comments. We crowdsource the solutions. We're already up to 20 different episodes now. We've still got a load to go. Rob Reed Jones says rack, but I mean, obviously that's going to be covered in infrastructure. Rebuild schools, courts, the legal system. That is a good point there. That is off Gareth Watson. Thank you very much, Gareth Watson. Try to get Tony Miles for the railway discussion. That's a really good idea. Okay, thank you very much for the super chat there, Electra Gaming. And come on, go away, super chat thing. Wow, this is coming in thick and fast, isn't it? So where did I put trains? Tony Miles. Okay, where are we? Closer to you. Yeah, I've done that from Samosa 86, sorry. Free umbrellas when it's pissing down. Energy supply stroke infrastructure, says Darren Christian. Yeah, I think we covered that. Social housing, yeah. Reform NHS dentistry. I think we should have dentistry as its own as its own episode, to be honest with you. More bike paths. I think that's going to be covered. So climate change, would that be covered in climate change? The things that we need to do? Or should there be at least two? Maybe we might have to break climate change into 2 or maybe 3 episodes where we cover like what businesses can do, what we can do, what changes can be made from the infrastructure of our cities and towns, which urgently need to happen. But we'll try and get through that. Rent reform, said that one. Prison reform. Yeah, I'm going to put prison reform because the whole system is messed up. So yeah, definitely have that. We've got house building. I'm gonna. I could do a whole episode on that. Obviously, that's massively important. I suppose that's going in with the renter reform and housing. No, yeah, we'll put that into the housing episode. House building. Labour obviously want to put a bulldozer through the NIMBYism of Great Britain that stops buildings being built on brownfield sites that are erroneously called greenfield to stop them being built upon. Because the Tories don't want any houses built. It's the problem with the Tories, because they want people who vote Tory for their money to go up. Money goes up. The value of their house keeps going up until the day they die. And obviously, if you start making loads of cheap houses for people to buy, young people so they can get on the property ladder, the value of your house is either going to stay the same or maybe go lower, and people don't want that. House prices must go up, which is a weird thing that houses do. Nothing else does that. Everything else depreciates over time, except for classic cars. Electro Gaming, I've said that one. Thank you very much. David Welsh, thank you very much for the super chat. It's really kind of all the super chats coming in today. It might be unfashionable here, but national defence is on its arse. We need it as much as we have in the 1980s. Realistic goals, the right resources. David, you are absolutely right, and we're going to put that down for another episode, which will be about defence. We can talk about... and we've got to do one about international relations as well. That is definitely important. because we're going to, I can talk about rejoining the EU till I'm blue in the face, but when it comes to international relations, I think we need to be making better strides than we are at the moment. So a bit embarrassing. Big Hon says, volunteer for the campaign. Thank you very much. Big Hon there. I think you're not telling me to volunteer. You're saying you're going to volunteer, which is great. And One Angry Pagan, thank you very much. New house building underlined by green energy and tech. Yes, absolutely. That will be covered in the house building. Renter reform, housing, house building, and getting rid of leaseholds and getting rid of slumlords and things like that. I mean, buy to let. How is that legal? How is it legal that you are allowed to buy a house and put someone else in there and they work every day and they give a third of their income to you to pay off the mortgage on that house that they don't live in? I think we need a whole, just between you and me, I think we need a whole reset in how we deal with people who own property and how they treat the tenants in their property. They shouldn't be tenants. They should be house sitters. They're looking after your property. They're doing a job and you don't have to pay them. You probably should pay them, but they're making sure that the windows get open so there's not damp everywhere. They're making sure that if there's a fire or a flood, you get notified straight away. They keep the upkeep of the place. If you left it on its own, the iron law of entropy would mean that you came back a year later and the place would stink all musty and you'd have to replace everything in there. You don't have to do that if you've got tenants in there, making sure the heating comes on through the winter and the pipes don't burst, etc., etc. Tenants are doing something. Renters are doing something. They're working for you and they're paying your second mortgage or third mortgage or fourth mortgage. It's not fair. It's a really wrong system, but we'll get into that. Energy security has been suggested. The House of Lords. Okay, I'm going to go back up the list. Sorry, I'm going to bring back Firefly, says Johnny Copperhead. Yes, why not? Media reform, social media too. Yeah, I'll do a whole one on social media. We need to do that. We've got to suggest close to 100% standards alignment with the EU to ensure proper quality food, water, etc. I'd love to visit without the risks of tourist ISIS. Yes, Johan, indeed, absolutely. I think that will come under the EU rejoin. I'm going to put roadmap, the EU rejoin roadmap, because obviously we do need to align our regulations and things like that. Regulatory alignment is really important. AI misinformation, says Orion Does Thing. I think we'll do one called tech, okay? And that's looking into AI, social media. We've got one on social media, but I might bunch that. I might bunch the AI stuff into the social media episode. Or we might do a separate tech episode and a tech episode and a social media episode. Actually, I think I will do that as two different episodes because social media is a little bit different in that tech is kind of like it's to do with the technology that we can use in order to make effectively fix Britain, which is what we desperately need to do. Environmental climate change, says Steve. Steve Duckburg there. We're going to develop a system to crowdsource ideas and analysis. Yeah, Rory, that's a really good idea. I'm going to put crowdsourcing down as a possible topic for an episode. Scrap section 21 and stronger rights for renters. Yes, absolutely. I'll just write down section 21 so we don't forget, because that needs to go. The Tories said they were going to get rid of that, didn't they? Liars. Social care, the cruelty of the DWP. Well. Okay, universal basic income. I think that's got to be an episode, definitely. I'll get Max on for that. Max loves talking about universal basic income. Ali Akbar, thank you very much for the super chat there, mate. We've got high property taxes on homes owners don't live in. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Use it or lose it. That's what I would bring in housing. Like if you leave your property derelict for 12 months, and it's falling apart, you're bringing down the property prices of the other houses on the street. So, after 12 months, squatters' rights, the council has some kind of squatters' rights to put on a thing to say, you need to live in this place or find someone to live there, or we're going to take it off you. And not even at market rate. We're just going to take it off you. Tim Ballon, thank you very much. Welcome to level 1. Housing, someone said this in the chat a few months ago and I loved it. They said housing should be like dinner. You know, you can have second helpings once everyone else has been served. And it's, housing, absolutely. The fact that we've got homelessness. Yeah, we're going to do a whole episode on homelessness. We need to do one on refugees, obviously. I can't believe this is like the 30th thing. This is how many things need fixing in the UK at the moment. We're on to our 30th topic. We have enough episodes here. If we do one a week to keep us going till the end of the year. Refugees. We have not been keeping to the refugee rules that we signed up to because we're not very nice like that. Good evening. That seems authentic for once. That's number 3, yeah. 6 weeks, mate. 6 weeks. And we're going to be voting in 6 weeks' time today to get rid of the Tories. It looks like they've already given up. I don't mean to date this, but oh my God, it does look like they're giving up. Food standards. Yeah, we've done that one. I think we're going to cover that in the food standards. Definitely. Fertility rates. Fertility. That's from Jenny. That's from Jennifer. Sorry. House of Lords and Monarchy says Jez, but yeah, they'll be covered in that. EU rejoin says Stephen David. No second job MPs. Yeah, absolutely. National security and the military both are in shocking state, says Uncle Heavy. Yes, absolutely. We're gonna have to do one. I mean, policing and crime, isn't there? That's gonna have to be. Because I said justice, but policing and crime slightly different. The justice, you think courtrooms and things, but yeah, policing and crime. We need to do one on jails, just in general. I think that could be covered in policing and crime. Jails, mental health, education, says Jojo. Yeah, defense treatment of veterans. I mean, yeah. Should we do a whole episode on that? On the treatment of it. I mean, I think if we're going to do one on homelessness, then that will cover the way that the homeless, the way that so many veterans have just been let down so badly by the Tory government. That he says it's king and country and all for the army and the military and stuff like that, but the reality is they've not been very good to the people who have put their lives on the line to fight for Britain. Brian Ferguson, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Oh God, that's the wrong button. Don't want to do that. Sorry if I gave everyone a shock there. And the 2024 Oscar nomination for Best Soundtrack goes to Steve Bray. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Steve Bray's the guy who played Things Can Only Get Better by D-Ream. Blasted it out at I was going to say poor old Rishi Sunak, but he's not poor and he's not old, so sod him. He's younger than me. I think they've given up. I think they've given up already. And Tim Bannon, thank you so much for that £20 super chat. That's amazing. We'll make some Wi-Fi trolleys for my local MP that will create anti-Tory Wi-Fi network names. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. What are trowleys? What are trowleys? We'll make some Wi-Fi trowleys. That's a fantastic idea. I love the idea of people looking around for a network to join. It's coming up with crush the Tories, stop the Tories, death. No, don't say that. Be in trouble. Steve Bray for president. Fake charity status. Yes, that's a very good one. That's from Attila. Charity. Right, so I'm going to run through the 33 that we've got on the first page here. Sorry, my writing's terrible. But if this hasn't, if you can think of things that haven't come up yet, you need to put them in the chat at the bottom again, even if you're repeating yourself, because I can't. There's so many chats now. So we've got press reform, mental health, electoral reform. We've got climate change, social care. I put social hair for some reason. Social care, lobbying, clean up politics, workers' rights. We've got EU rejoin roadmap. We've got NHS. We've got dentistry. We've got private ownership of public utilities, services. We've got prison reform. We've got gender. Okay, that's a separate one. We've got gender recognition. And LGBTQIA plus rights. We've got defence. We've got infrastructure, international relations, transport infrastructure, which is going to be like the trains and the railway, the motorways, things like that. And then social media, immigration, tech, AI, etc. Justice, and justice for the Tories. Crowdsourcing, talking about ways of crowdsourcing ideas and crowdfunding as well, and making sure that people feel like they are a stakeholder in society instead of just having things told to them by the powers that be. I mean, I'm gonna have to add my extra one at the bottom here, which is going to be private schools. Yes, we're going to do one just on private schools because this is my channel, and I'm a little bit obsessed. Crowdsourcing, yeah. Renter reform, how that's to do with housing. Get rid of leasehold, get rid of Section 20, Section 21. We'll do another episode on UBI, on education, on homelessness, on food security, junk food, etc. Refugees, farming, fertility, well-being, policing and crime, charity, private schools. Right. I turn the page. We have enough. Let's see if we've got enough to go for a year. Well, I'm going to do 2 of these a week. Maybe we'll do one every day until the election starts. Right. Okay. We just had the ads. Sorry about that. Sunak's plan was to let the rain short out Steve Bray's amp. It almost worked. Whoever had the brolly is a champion who held it above the amp. Bloody adverts missed the list. Okay. All right. BBC reforms. Oh, that's a good one. Is that from Lofty the Softy? Who said that? Yeah, Lofty the Softy. So I'm on 35 now. BBC. And just broadcasting in general. I've got press reform as another episode, so that's going to be about the newspapers more than anything. Disability rights. Disability rights. That's a brilliant idea to do for a show. Prison reform, we've got that. Ending benefit sanctions. I guess that will be covered in UBI. So let's say we'll do an episode on benefits and stroke UBI. So I'll just put benefits on there for that one episode. We'll talk about the benefit system and how it could be made so much better. You trust people. We should do. What about private schools, says Johnny Copperhead. Sorry if you missed it, Johnny, because of the adverts. Thank you very much for the super chat. I did say we're going to do a private school one. We're going to do an episode on private schools. I think we should do one on. I think we should do one on women's safety. Because this is a topic that has been absolutely manhandled by the people who are just transphobes, that they've taken this real important topic, that is the fact that women in our society do not feel safe walking down the streets, and they've tried to co-opt that for their own nefarious ends. I added the 1,145th name to the private school mafia list today, and do you know who it was? It was Graham Linehan, the massive transphobe who wrote Father Ted, and he's a massive transphobe. Turns out his parents had a bit of money, and he went to probably one of the most expensive schools in Ireland. Funny that. I don't think it makes better people. What can I say? Disability rights. Yes, we've got that. We've got that down. LGB Foundation in case of homophobic attack. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Definitely, David. Ofcom. Yes, definitely. Ofcom. Ofsted. Do you know private schools don't have to be don't have to be, they don't come under the umbrella of Ofsted. They don't have to be inspected if they don't want to. They don't have to follow the national curriculum. Oh, we'll talk about all that. Okay, so what else have we got? Pensions. Oh God, that's a good one. Pensions. Those things that old people have that young people will never have at the moment. Further devolution. Oh, fantastic. That's from Svax. Yeah, absolutely. I would like to meet. I could see why people in Scotland in particular wouldn't want to be part of the United Kingdom after they were dragged out of the EU against their will. But as things improve, our relations with the EU improve, that becomes slightly less of an argument for me. But I would like to see a lot more devolution to Wales, to Scotland, to Northern Ireland, to allow people to make their own decisions in their own backyard, but also devolution around the regions of the country, because one size fits all does not work. What is good in London, what works in London doesn't work in Newcastle. It doesn't work in Manchester. It doesn't work in Liverpool. It certainly doesn't work in little villages, old pit villages up here in Durham. It doesn't work. Yes. Gender swap day. What? Teenage street gangs. Well, that'll come under policing. Wildlife and environment. Oh yeah, Alvone. Okay, well, we're going to do one about the climate change, but then, can we do one about the local environment, I guess? That's a good idea. Wildlife, rewilding. Okay, that might bleed into the farming chat that we're going to have. Super Tiny says, F Westminster. Yeah, well, I don't think that the centre of our politics should be in London, because it's like a gravity well. Affirmative action for minorities. That's from Professor Pigeon. Affirmative. I don't know if we could do a whole episode on affirmative action. Do you know what? Can I use the stupid Tory phrase of levelling up? Can I use it? Let's do it. Let's go. Levelling up. Levelling up. And I put in brackets for reals, because the Tories just said it. It was not real. It wasn't something they were really going to do. So affirmative action, etc. Okay. Tax dodging, tax. Yeah, we could do a whole episode on tax. Fantastic. Steve, arts and culture. Absolutely. My God. This is going to be a long manifesto. Free school meals, not provided by private companies, in-house provision. I mean, did I say that we're doing one on schools? I think we said education. Yeah, well, let's say school. I think that will come under education. No, it wouldn't actually. Let's do one on schools, right? And I'm going to change the education one to higher education, because we need to talk about student fees and overseas students and all that kind of stuff. So where I said education, where did I put education on it? I'm going to put higher education. So we'll separate them out into two different topics there. Two different shows. So we've got schools and we've got education. We've got universities. No more private schools, says Jojo. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. Shame Starmer can't see this. Well, Daniel, that's what we're planning to do here. We've got 6 weeks till the election, and then with some luck, the Tories will be out in 6 weeks, and some of these things could actually happen. But one of the things I've found in the last 10 years talking to politicians is that they don't necessarily know stuff. They don't know everything. They've got civil servants working for them who present them with stuff, but unless someone points something out to them, they won't necessarily know about it. I'll give an example. What's his name? Sebastian. I'm just thinking now of Sebastian Coe, but that's not his name. The guy who was Seb Dance, that's his name. Seb Dance, who he was an MEP for Labour, and now he's the deputy mayor for transport in London, so of TfL. And I spoke to him last year about Victoria Coach Station, which I always take when I go. Well, almost always take when I go down to London, because I get the megabus down to London because it's £8 rather than £158 on the train. So I get the megabus, and the station's just not fit for purpose. And until I had said that to Seb, he didn't know about it. He hadn't thought about it. He hadn't gone, oh yeah, that's a bit mad that all these buses from all over the country and from continental Europe all go to this one bus station in the middle of London, that many of the buses have to travel down Oxford Street to get to. Traveling down like this road that should be pedestrianised. And often I'd come down from Liverpool on the bus, and it would take about 3 hours to get to the M25. And then the distance from the M25 or the North Circular into London, it took another 3 hours just to get from the North Circular to the bus station. Anyway, so my point is, it was when it was pointed out to Seb, he was like, "Oh, no one's brought that up before." Of course they haven't. He only talks to people who get the bloody train. He doesn't talk to people like me or like you who have to get the megabus or the National Express. Anyway, nationalise our water 100%, absolutely. Cap lobbying at a certain level. Yes, Liebshin. We're coming up with ideas for the shows here. This isn't necessarily, we're not talking about like what we're actually going to do to fix Britain. We're just talking about the things that need fixing in this episode. And we're 38 minutes in, and we're not gonna run out of ideas, I don't think. Tuition fees under higher education, yeah, we'll do that. Political honesty classes, that'll come under education and schools. Nationalising utilities, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe we should just do one on nationalisation. Yeah, okay. I'm going to write all this up, don't worry. And then we can talk about how we're going to go about making this into setting out the agenda for what we're going to talk about in each episode going forward. Child poverty can only be part of a school's discussion or vice versa. Indeed. I'm going to put child poverty, though, in with schools there because education, higher... Oh, schools is still on this page. Sorry. Very professional, I know. Schools, what am I writing here? Child poverty. Yeah. Actually, we should do an episode on poverty and combating poverty. Absolutely. Actual European history, yeah, that'll also be covered in education. It's mad how far we've fallen. Imagine this conversation in 2010. Yeah, Sam Yuso, 86, you're not wrong. Minimum wages. Well, we've got one for workers' rights, so I guess that'll be covered in that. The destigmatizing of immigration. Yeah, have I put immigration down already? I'm pretty sure I put immigration down. Yeah, I've got immigration. We'll cover that in there. I mean, the idea that we have to get immigration down. Why? Well, because there's other people coming from other countries. Yeah, and what's the problem? What is the problem? When Liverpool was hit by the docks closing and the shipbuilding closing in the 1960s, people left. People went to live in other parts of Britain and other places around the world because they needed the work. They needed to get out. They needed to go somewhere. The population of Liverpool was nearly 1 million in the 60s. Now it's less than 500,000. Still, the population halved. They went somewhere, and because they could go somewhere. And begrudging people leaving their hometown, which they probably don't want to leave. They don't want to leave their roots. They don't want to leave their parents. They want to leave their family and friends and everything they've ever known. They don't want to do that, but they feel compelled to do it. We should give them every bit of support we can. And I see no difference in it being a Scouser moving down to London or someone from Lagos moving to London or someone moving from Warsaw to London. Yeah, fine. Or someone moving from Lagos to Liverpool. Migration is normal. It's the default of humans. We travel, we move about. We're a migratory species. We're not really... I don't know, some people just love to stay in the one place and they're never going to go anywhere because the world doesn't interest them, but they're few and far between. And if push comes to shove and you need to move on to live the life that you want to, well, yeah, great. And people want to come over here. Brilliant. Fantastic. If you don't want people to come here, don't be such a great country. It's basically they're saying, we want our countries to be crap. That's what the Tories are saying. We know the situation in Northern Ireland, Thinking Republic. Well, yeah. Is Northern Irish culture Irish, British, potentially both, neither? Northern Irish culture is, it depends who you're talking to, doesn't it? If you're talking to someone who wants to be Irish, it's Irish. You want to be talking to someone who wants to be British, even though they were born in Ireland, their parents were born in Ireland, their grandparents were born in Ireland, they've lived in Ireland since the Battle of the Boyne, and they're very proud to tell you that. They still identify themselves as British, which is the island across the way from Ireland. But that's okay. If you want to self-ID as British, it's fine with me, mate. I don't care. Hey, live and let live. Potholes, said Sarah. That'll be covered in infrastructure. A new law that punishes fox hunters by being chased through the forest by a pack of dogs. Yeah, we'll talk about that in Law and Order. Actual European history, says Yoni. Equal standing for pagans. Social cohesion. Let's say social cohesion. One angry pagan. Social. I think that's, so let's just have like society. Because I hate the fact that Thatcher said there's no such thing as society. Ban asset stripping. Yeah, that's got to come under Law and Order, I think. Are you using red pen like a lunatic? Yes, I am actually. I'm using a red pen. I've got a normal coloured pen, but it's quite a heavy pen. And when I write with it, it's just rubbish. I've also got a black Sharpie, so I could write this with a Sharpie, but it just takes too long. And obviously, it's so through to the next page. Right, international schemes for work from home. Yeah. I mean, exactly. Feels like poverty and home. That was from Optizap, by the way. Savak says, feels like poverty and homelessness are related topics. Could be discussed together. Yeah, BBC license fee. That's from Attila. We're going to be episode 35 on the list. It's not necessarily in that order, but that will be about BBC and broadcasting in this country. Ending the bedroom tax. Yep, couldn't agree more. Can anyone help with Twitter? What? Get it off. Get it off. Elon Musk. I'll give you the link when we want to go over that. I can't forward you all over to Twitter, unfortunately. I can only send you to another video on YouTube if they allow me to do so. Can I self-ID as British? Yes. I honestly don't have a problem with people doing that. People want to pretend it's the 1940s and dress up like it's the 1940s. Fine. It's a bit mad, but fine. Just as long as you're not hurting anyone. Are you hurting anyone? No. Are you having a good time? Yeah, great. If you want to cosplay, if you want to dress up as if you want to dress up as Luke Skywalker, or you want to dress up as Jon Snow, the newscaster, yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Like, I don't see why people have to have an opinion about what other people are doing when it doesn't hurt anyone else and they're having a good time. Drugs. I was going to say that was going to come under Law and Order, but I think we need to do a whole episode on drugs. I love Sharpies, says Gary Arnold. They are pretty good. There's no self-ID, born there, UK, so British citizen. That's not entirely true. In Northern Ireland, you can get an Irish passport. If you're born in Northern Ireland, you can apply for an Irish passport or a British passport, and you can get both if you want to. No, my account is locked. Can't get past the puzzle, says something went wrong, but they don't answer if you contact them. You're going to have to get a new account, mate. Twitter is a cesspit at the moment. Travel tip, Bristol to London, get the Hammersmith stop, walk to the underground. Otherwise, a further 90 minutes to Victoria. Ban loot boxes from video games. It's basically gambling. Oh, do you know what? Should we we could do an episode on video games for a couple of reasons. One, that it's not very well regulated, but also that it's one of the great British exports. We could do one about movies. We said about the arts. Might get covered in the arts. Yeah, I don't know if we should do a whole episode on video games, but yeah, regulations. Sharpie, is that like a felt tip? Yes, it's a marker pen. Tim, that says this falls under nationalisation, but privatisation not only loses 10% plus in profits, but adds another management level to manage contracts. Nationalisation is more efficient. I know it is so much more efficient. Well, I've talked about this about coming to York, and you need some member of the crew for the train. You can't take someone from someone else's company and put them on your train and let the train go on its merry business. You've got to wait for someone who's signed the contract at your company, unless you do a special deal for someone to be loaned to you. And it's another layer of managerial nonsense that we could do without. Ban Tories would fix Britain. Yeah, that'd be great. Sarah says, stop fines to hauliers who are victims of the migration problem. It's a fine for the hauliers. If the drivers pay, they are found with people in the trucks. Yeah, so bring those up when we talk about migration. And we talk about refugees, actually, not about migration. Peerage from LC. That's from Cathal. Why not? We got Blue Badger 88 saying, can we do one about how to develop natural resources like R&D and services and protect them from privatization? Yeah, I was going to say that about tech. I was going to say that would be like the tech episode, and we talk about research and development. I think that would be kind of handy if we did that. I thought you did every stream of drugs. Oh, you meant the topic. No, I told you I'm a Boy Scout. I've never taken drugs. I've never even smoked a cigarette. I've never even taken a puff of a cigarette. I don't think I've ever held a lit cigarette. Where were we? Tech. I said tech, and what was the thing that I was going to add? Fishing. Oh, yes, we should do a fishing episode. Definitely. Yeah, R&D. R&D. We should do one about D&D. As in Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, fishing. Let's do a whole episode on fishing. Why not? That might come under things. That might come under food. We've only got just over 10 minutes left. Film industry is very important to the economy too. Video games, films. Yeah, let's separate the arts, because we could talk about museums in that. We could talk about changing the law so we can give back the treasures that we stole from other countries around the world, other peoples around the world. Ban dating shows on TV. Rishi says everything is bigger now. The national debt is now 100% of GDP. NHS waiting list 7 million. The need for food banks, lack of doctors, nurses, dentists. The number of small boats crossing. That's from Wayne. You've never had it so good, he says in the pouring rain. The sounds of things can only get better. Ban reality TV. We've done that one. Graham, you have taken drugs, namely alcohol. Yeah, but that's not illegal. I didn't say illegal drugs then, but when I said this the other day, I said illegal drugs. STEM. Yeah, well that'll come under tech. So yeah, STEM. We'll add that. Curbing AI from replacing jobs. Yeah, we'll talk about that under the tech episode. Nationalised Weatherspoons. Pubs. We could do a whole episode on pubs. I've got a mate who runs Protect Pubs. We could definitely do that. Right, that's 52. We've got enough to go for a year if we do one episode a week. I think we're going to have to do 2 episodes a week. Yeah, legalize pot at least. Yeah, well, we're talking about that in drugs. I'll legalize them all. I'll just put that out there. I would legalize every drug. Not so I can take them myself. I have no intention of taking them. I don't like them. I don't like the smell of them. I don't like the way people act when they're on them. But for some people, it's what they want to do. They're doing it to their own body. They're grown-ups. Let them. And if they need help getting off the drugs, same as anyone who wants to lose some weight or get off alcohol or stop the problem gambling, the help should be there. Instead of spending £2 billion a week fighting the war on drugs, we could be spending that on helping people. Anyway, we'll get into that on the drugs debate. Business rents. I don't know if we could do a whole episode on that, but yeah, business. Yeah, we could do an episode on business. Get Johnny Reynolds along. Remove the moratorium on wind farms, says Duke. Yeah, this is ideas. I'm talking about just topics at the moment, but obviously that will come up in the environment and climate change. Ukraine, well, we'll talk about defense. Paying off the compensation for all the scandals. Yeah. There's got to be more scrutiny in business. So I'll just put like whistleblowers. Can we do an episode on whistleblowers? Because at the moment they're treated absolutely abhorrently by the system. Corporate malfeasance. That's a good word for you. So I've put whistleblower stroke corporate malfeasance. Although I can't spell it. It's all right. It's just a squiggle. Will the Manchester police release the result of their investigation to Angela Rayner during the campaign? Oh, God, probably. The guy who's running it is like a massive Tory who spoke at the Tory Party conference, well, at a fringe event at the Tory Party conference. Actually, that's a point on pubs, lower the tax on alcohol. Yeah, we'll talk about that in society as well. I mean, we could do a whole episode on pubs, but things fixing the veterinarian industry. Oh, that's yeah, vets. Yeah, we need some kind of national insurance for people so they can cover the cost of their vets fees. Because again, I often talk about there being one reality for rich people and one for the rest of us. If you or I have a cat or a dog and they get ill and we need treatment for them, it costs hundreds, perhaps thousands of pounds that we don't have. If you're rich, what do you care? It's just a couple of quid to you. It's nothing. Rishi Sunak made £120 million last year. That's all you need to know. That's why he's sodding off into the sunset, sodden wet. Live music venues. Oh God, yeah, live music. I'll have loads of people to talk about that. Live music. That'll probably come under the arts. Reintroducing home economics so students know how to boil an egg when they leave school. Josh, yeah. Whistleblowers can go under workers' rights. Yeah. I mean, this is a justice thing as well. It's white collar crime. Let's just put white collar crime, and it will come a bit under tax as well. We have got an episode on tax, yeah, we do. But white collar crime, I think that's got to be. We've got to do something on that. Every home to have a solar panels and power pack, absolutely feedback to the grid. I mean, why aren't we doing that already? It's just madness. Every new home, solar panels on the roof. It's cheaper than roofing. Whatever happened to dog licenses? Alan Poe, great point. Great point. I think they should be brought back. You need a license to have a telly, but not a dog. You can buy a lot of win a lot with 120 million. Indeed, centralise the House of Parliament so no MP who has less than 4 hours travel from their constituents have to have a second home. I think there should be hotels. I think there should be a few hotels that are used by the government to, by parliamentarians when they're in London, and we pay for the hotels. Simple as that. Obviously, they'll have to have more security, but it's not a second home. It's not their house, and I would much prefer to have that situation. And when they're not an MP anymore, they don't get to keep the house that we've helped pay for down in London, and then they sell it, and they've got another £1 million in their back pocket. Human rights and modern slavery. Human rights, modern slavery. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that one. That's from Craven Beer. Fish license, free internet. Dodgy procurement. That's going to have to come under justice. Removal of free ports. God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, would that be infrastructure? Free ports? Might come under free ports. Live venues, crosses with alcohol tax. How about a scheme to allow homeowners to switch their homes to more green alternatives? That will come under, that will be when we're talking about what we can do to be more green in general. Use the Bibby stock home, says JRB, in response to what we should do with the Tories when they're in, or any MPs when they're in London. No, I think that's very practical. But yes, I like the idea. Angela, assisted dying. I assume there's something going to be done about this. We're doing one on health. So that's going to have to cover a lot. We're doing one on NHS, but then we're doing a separate one on health, well-being, health. Okay, so well-being, health. Sorry, just finishing my coffee there. Well-being, health, assisted dying, dementia, cancer, all the fun stuff. Parkinson's. Okay, we can cover that in the well-being and health episode. Build more youth clubs. Couldn't agree more. Turn up, have these done at 5 a.m. Dustmen just have to turn up at a reasonable time. Come on, Daniel. Do you want everything? Free ports aren't infrastructure. They're more of a tax fiddle as far as I can see. Yes, they are. Accommodating as many MPs in a few hotels would be a bit of a security risk. Yeah, but you'd have different hotels. I mean, it'd only be a security risk as much as them having a house that anyone can go outside of. And it would probably be actually better security if they don't always use the same hotel, if they don't always have the same room. Everyone in the UK gets 1 3 hit on Boris. Music in the House of Commons. R&D says, one angry pink. Yeah, we've got R&D in the tech episode. I would also STEM in there as well. If you're on benefits, the PDSA will treat one pet for free. They will, absolutely. The PDSA do a fantastic job. I think it should be something that's nationalised in some way, so that if you are in need of benefits, then your one animal can be treated, because I think it's tremendously unfair and cruel that some people, their animals have to suffer because they don't have the money to help the animals. I mean, it's animal cruelty if you think about it, that the rich can look after their animals, but the rest of us can't necessarily. A COVID memorial, says Gary Arnold. Yeah, absolutely. Bring back Sure Start and more family-friendly policies. Yeah, let's do one on youth. Let's do an episode on youth. So it's slightly different with Sure Start, youth hostels, all that jazz. Okay, yeah, good idea that. I like that. We'll do that separate to schools. So yeah, schools, education, what they learn in school. We can talk about learning civics, learning how to boil an egg and stuff, and then we can do one about, and also Ofsted and how that all works, and how our education system works overall. I'm going to be trying to find guests to talk about all this. So if you know, if you're a bit of an expert in a particular field and would like to come on to the show, How We Fix Britain, and talk about what you would do in your particular area of expertise, please get in touch with me. Go to grahamdavidhughes.com. There is a contact box at the bottom. Someone got in touch with me, a guy called Alistair, this morning, and he's given me another 162 names for the private school mafia list that I didn't already have. Wow. TV blackout nights on Tory political broadcasting. A Tory memorial. Wealth inequality. That's some craving beer. Yes. Should do an episode on wealth inequality. Yeah. And what we can do about it. That is an excellent idea. Inequality. Brilliant. Okay. A right to recycle. Yeah, that's going to come up. Transgender and gay education in schools. Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Tory memorial. What would that look like? Turd in the bin. Anyway, right, it's time to wrap up for today. We have got 60 topics that we've written down for possible individual episodes for this series, How We Fix Britain. And these have all come from you. Press reform, mental health, electoral reform, climate change, social care, lobbying, workers' rights, rejoining the EU, NHS, dentistry, private ownership of public entities, prison reform, gender recognition, LGBTQIA rights, defence, infrastructure, international relations, transport infrastructure, social media, immigration, tech, including AI, R&D and STEM, justice for the Tories, justice to the Tories, crowdsourcing, renter reform, UBI and benefits, education, higher education, homelessness, poverty, food security, refugees, farming, fertility, well-being and health. That'll include talking about assisted dying, dementia, cancer, etc. Policing and crime, charities, private schools, BBC and broadcasting, disability rights, women's safety, women's rights, equality as well. 38, Ofwat, Ofcom, Ofsted, those quangos. 39, pensions. 40, we've got devolution. 41, we've got local environment, stroke wildlife. 42, we've got levelling up. 43, and that's got to be affirmative action and etc. 43, we've got tax. We've got arts and culture for 44, which may incorporate some of the things that we're going to come to in a minute. But schools, talking about child poverty, nationalisation, and the trains and everything else and how it's going to be done. We're going to do one on poverty, which will be different from the homelessness one. I think maybe we should split them into two. 48, we've got social cohesion. Number 49, we've got drugs. 50, we've got video games and films, which is going to be slightly different from the social media episode. 51 got fishing. I don't know if we could do a whole episode on fishing, but we could give it a go. 52 got pubs. 53 we've got business. 54 we've got whistleblowers. Obviously, this isn't the order we're going to do them in. Corporate malfeasance, etc. White collar crime. 55 we've got vets, veterinary care. I don't know if we'll do a whole episode on that. I might incorporate it into another one. Live music, that's 56. That might be incorporated into arts and culture. Human rights and modern slavery, 57. And 58 we've got free ports. 59 we've got youth, just a short start, and we've got the youth. What have I written? Youth centres. It looks like youth hostels. And 60 we've got wealth inequality. So that's our Christmas list. Enjoyable show. Thank you very much, Graham. I hope it's not too much. No. This has got to be done. We have to put this together. And what I'm going to do is at the end of each of these episodes, I'm going to make an actual document out of what we discussed, out of what's come of the episode. And that document's going to be available on laboursocial.com for you to read. And we will make a collection of 60, 70, 80, 90 documents, 100 documents over the next year or so, where we go into each different policy area and we crowdsource the ideas that need to be achieved, the ways of achieving what we need to do. You'll be able to say in the chat, well, that won't work because of X, Y, Z. Maybe you'll have some specialized knowledge in that particular area. Or you might be able to say, well, you don't do it that way, do it this way. And you achieve the same thing, but by a method that would actually be cheaper or easier or more practical. That'd be fantastic. So, like I say, we will have this, and then this will be something that we can refer to, and we can refer other people to. You will be able to refer your local MP to a document on the website, which will say, whatever policy area that you particularly might be interested in or want to bring to the attention of your MP, and you'll be able to send it to them. And they will have to reply because they're your MP, and MPs have to reply to you. That's why I like writing to my MP, because I know they have to reply to me. There you go. Anyway, look, I'm going to give you over to Twitter now, because we are doing I think I'm supposed to be on this, actually. They're doing a Twitter Spaces thingy majigga thing. How to stop the Tories. This is it. And yes, so if I go to this is Super Tansky's Twitter. There you go. Okay, so if I see you over there, brilliant. Right, thank you so much. Honestly, thank you for this. This has been better than I could have possibly imagined. I didn't think, before I did this, I had a bit of trepidation into what if we just sit there for an hour going, I can't think of anything. But you have absolutely, my cup runneth over with ideas, which is brilliant, because a good idea is golden. It's absolutely golden. There's loads of great ideas to talk about here. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the socialites in the chat there, giving their ideas. Thanks for the super chats. Give this episode a like on the way out, and I'll be back in the morning at 9:30 for Morning Brew. We're going to have a big day tomorrow. It's going to be epic. We're going to be talking about the election, which I know you are going to love us talking about. But in the meantime, thank you. And I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.